In this tutorial, I'd like to give you an overview over Unity, its editor, and basic functions. You will learn how to navigate inside Unity, how to create a 3D object, and how to play video on this object. But first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about what Unity is about, because the possibilities of what you can create with Unity are quite diverse, and also the people and professional disciplines working with Unity are quite different. Unity exists since 2004 and was initially intended as a development environment for game developers. You can use it to design and program interactive applications, and the cool thing about it is that you can do it in a relatively intuitive way. You can create 2D and 3D applications, and you can build them easily to different platforms. So it can be built to computers, mobile phones, browsers, gaming consoles, and even more. So there's lots of potential. So soon after Unity was founded, it was not only used by game developers, but also by artists and small creative studios. And in recent years, more and more marketing agencies, architects, and industry branches discovered it. All in all, there are endless ways you can become creative with Unity. So if you want to see concrete examples, just take a look at the Unity website. So now let's open the Unity Hub and create a new project. You can choose whatever version you've already installed, and then you give it a custom name. I will call mine SS Unity project, but you can choose whatever name you want and set 3D as a template. You can save it wherever you want. So choose any folder you want and then create your project. This takes a little while, and I will speed up my screen recording so you don't have to wait. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit about the project view. Here are all our assets saved. Assets are elements that are part of our project, such as models, textures, materials, videos or audio files, scripts, or many more. It is very important to understand that those assets are mirrored on our hard drive. So if I create this video folder, this folder is not only created inside of Unity, but also on our hard drive. If I delete this folder inside Unity, you will see that it's also deleted on a hard drive. And if I create a folder outside of Unity in our location, it is also created inside Unity. This principle applies to all assets. Think of the project panel as a library where you can borrow assets and add them to your project. If you want to add a video to your project, you can just drag it into your asset folder. You can notice that this video is also mirrored to your hard drive. So all of your assets are like a library. And just like a library, you should keep order from the beginning and name all elements well, so that you can find them again at any time. For example, we could store all our materials in a folder called materials. And we could store all our scenes in a folder called scenes. Unity projects are organized by scenes. And if you want, for example, your game or application to have different levels, you can create a separate scene for each one. Per default, Unity creates a scene called sample scene, and you can double click it and check up there in the hierarchy view if you're currently in this scene. So now let's create a new scene, and you can name it whatever you want. Then double click it, and then check up in the hierarchy panel up there if the name is the same than in your assets folder. In your hierarchy window, you can see all game objects that are part of the current scene. By right-clicking the mouse, you can create your own assets, such as a cube, but you can also click on game object in the menu at the top. Now you can see that a cube was created in the scene view, and you can rotate around this cube if you press Alt and at the same time the left mouse button. If you click the middle mouse button, you can move, and with the right mouse button clicked, you can zoom in and out. it can happen that you get lost inside the scene view. So just a quick tip, if you double click on your object in the hierarchy view, you will zoom in automatically on your game object. And also, if you're inside the scene view, you can click F and you zoom in as well. Of course, you can also change the transforms of your game object. You can do so by selecting the tools at the top or using the hotkeys. You can move, rotate, scale, or you can do all at once. If you want to bring back the initial state of your game object, you can do so by clicking on the 3 small dots and clicking Reset. Your transform data is back to 0, 0, 0. You can also change the properties of your game object by inserting the values directly inside the transform component. You've probably wondered what is happening on the right side inside our game view. This game view displays our scene from the perspective of our main camera. If we change the transform data of our camera, the game view changes accordingly to it. Usually we work in our project looking at the scene view. If we press play, we see our project in action. Let's say we had added an animation to our cube, we would now preview how it is moving. But you have to be very careful. While you are in game mode, all changes you apply inside the inspector are not going to be saved. And as soon as you stop play mode, the changes you made will be gone. But luckily, there's a quick tip. In your preferences under colors, you can tell Unity to change colors when you change from scene to play mode. I would recommend that you choose a very light color because the changes are quite immense. But the great thing is that you will always be reminded that your changes will not be stored during runtime. Now that we have heard so much about the basics of Unity, let's get a little bit more practical. First, select the cube in the hierarchy view or directly in the scene view, it doesn't matter. And now you can see in your inspector panel that there are several components which are all part of your cube. So let's add another component. And we want to apply a video player. If you type in the first letters, the video player component will appear itself. And now you can select it and the video player will be part of your cube. I already added a video to my project by simply dragging it to my video folder inside the assets. Maybe you can remember it. I can now link this video file to my video player. In the empty video clip section there is a tiny circle, and if I click it, I can simply select my video. If I now press play and change to game mode, I can see that the video is applied as a texture to my cube. You can also click the loop button, then the video player component performs an infinite loop of the video. This might come in handy if you're still in the development phase of your project. Okay, now if you have never worked with Unity before, this was a lot of new content. And to apply what we have just learned, I want to give you a small task. So first, create a new scene in the scene folder and then add a new game object to it. But this time, don't create a cube, but create a plane and add a video to it. Then transform that plane so that it looks at the camera in full format. And when you press play and you're in game mode, you can watch the video in full screen. Now pause this tutorial, and when you're done with the exercise, you can continue, and I will then show you how to solve this exercise. Hello again. I hope that you guys could work it out, otherwise you can just follow along now. First we go to our scenes folder and create a new scene. Now my new scene will be automatically saved in the folder where I'm currently located. Then I give the scene its own name. To open the new scene, I double click on it. At the top of our hierarchy view, we see that the name of this scene has changed. Since my scene is completely empty, I have to create a new camera and a directional light. But maybe that's not necessary for you. By clicking the right mouse button, I create a plane and a 3D object. I need to move my camera a little bit further away on the Z axis. and I have to both center my camera and my plane. Now I have to rotate my plane on the x-axis so that it faces towards my camera. Then I add the video player component to the plane. Now I link a video from my assets to the video player, and I also activate the loop function. If you would now click on play, you would see that the video is displayed in the wrong format. The reason for this is that the plane has a square format, but the video is in widescreen. So that needs to be adjusted. To find out the correct ratio of your video, you can open your file, for example, in the VLC player and display the resolution with the hotkey Ctrl-I. Here you can see how wide and how high your video is. My video has a width of 1920 and a height of 1080 pixels. This ratio is the equivalent of 16:9. I enter these numbers under scale, so the plane has the same ratio as the video. Because you rotated the plane, the height must be added to the set value. Now you can move the camera so that the video is shown in full screen mode in the game view. If you press play, you can check if everything is correct. But actually I see that my video looks quite dark. To change this, we have to modify the material properties. By default, Unity creates an opaque material. And the basic characteristic of opaque materials is that they do not emit light. They hold more or less just the color information that is illuminated by light and is therefore either lighter or darker. Unlit material, on the other hand, is not influenced by a light source. Therefore, we now create an unlit material and assign it to our plane. So now we go to our material folder, and with a right click we create a new material. Now we change from a standard shader to an unlit shader and choose texture. Now we simply have to assign our new video material to our plane. We press play, and we can see that the video looks as it should. Now you know the basics of Unity and how to add videos to a 3D object.